being able to make some decisions quickly will allow you to make the best out of the time that you have, because we all have the same time, but it's what we do with it. And so anytime you feel stuck, it's real important that you go back and identify why there's probably a decision somewhere that you're not making, that you haven't made yet. And there's a reason why you haven't made it yet. And usually it's because you don't have all the information, or there's a lack of belief. And if so, the lack of belief comes from not understanding. Knowledge is one thing, but understanding is another. So there's a difference between saying, oh yeah, I know that, but if you haven't done it, it means that you don't understand it. Because if you understood it, you would do it, especially if it would benefit you. But just knowing about something versus understanding it is different. So make sure you have a fine understanding of why you do things.
Who's this? Oh, you're an entrepreneur? Oh, you're a real estate investor. Oh, you're trying to learn from those who did it. Well, come into the lab then. Put your white coat on, gloves on, notepad, and let's build, y'all.
Experiment Nation, your host, Ruben Kanya, here in the lab. I cannot believe I'm currently recording this in midway through November, Q4 of 2024. And for that reason, I need to send you specifically, who's listening, a words of encouragement to keep pushing while people are going to slowly set their foot off the gas, considering the holidays and the good food and the travel, etc. This quarter is typically actually the best quarter, or at least the quarter where we do most of our acquisitions, because people are not really paying attention, and so we like to take advantage of that. It's also year end, so there's a lot of incentives, and so this is just a simple energy boost. If you're feeling like you need a break, by any means, take the break that you need, but come right back and don't just close the year out yet, because there's still another month. It's crazy to think that it's crazy that the year is coming to an end, but for you, it means you can squeeze the juice. Squeeze the juice. Now, it's just a number, I understand, but we do track our milestones with respect to the year. And especially if you're a lot of my clients at this time of the year who are investors who want to take advantage of um, the advantages of the from a tax perspective, buying a short-term rental, even if you operate it for 1 month, you could still qualify for the benefits of owning a short-term rental and the hours that you put in, etc. That's the STR loophole, which you may or may not know, as when you're involved in the business and you're spending more time in your cleaners, setting things up, and if anything, getting things into the books this year, and also the bonus depreciation. I think I don't know if this year was the 60%, but anyway, uh, it's in your best interest to be early and wait. I actually put this post this morning. I love this post, and it's really about goes back to the thing all about speed. When you think of wealth, wealth is created in speed, and um, wealth loves speed in making decisions fast, and it's also how you measure wealth, right? I often ask the question: is $1 million a lot? Well, it depends, right? Because if you make $40,000 a year, you'll make that in 25 years or so, right? So is that the same as making it in a month or a year or a quarter? It's not. It's the speed at which you make the money. It's not so much the volume of the money, right? So it's all perspective, right? And so it's just such a good reminder that a month and a half is a lot of time to create a lot of changes. Matter of fact, you can implement a lot of changes that will put you way ahead of the pack going into 2025. And usually starts with a decision. Usually an indecision is what slows us down, because we're like, I don't know if I should do this. I don't know if I should do that. And time is ticking, time is passing. But if we can compress the amount of time that it takes to make a decision, then we then speed up the process and we speed up our process of getting wealthy. And part of sometimes not knowing the decision is there's two things. There's usually something you don't know, right? So typically you feel overwhelmed because there's something that you don't know. So it's really good to check yourself in any area. I know recently just did this with my coach because I have a coach. I have many coaches, and you should too, because a coach, there's two types of different coaches, right? There's a consultant, and there's a consultant who can tell you what to do. A coach will coach you on what you need to do as well, but a mentor will also tell you what they did. And so I think if you can find a mentor that can then be your consultant, be your coach, um, then you get the best of both worlds. And I always look for those who have done, or at least who I would trade places with, or who are currently living out the dream that I want to live. Right. I think that's very important to think about that. But I say that to say this: being able to make some decisions quickly will allow you to make the best out of the time that you a lot of time that we have, that you have, because we all have the same time, but it's what we do with it. And so, anytime you feel stuck, it's real important that you go back and identify why there's probably a decision somewhere that you're not making, that you haven't made yet, and there's a reason why you haven't made it yet. And usually, it's because you don't have all the information, or there's a lack of belief. And if the lack of belief comes from not understanding, and not understanding, knowledge is one thing, but understanding is another. So there's a difference between saying, oh yeah, I know that, but if you haven't done it, it means that you don't understand it. Because if you understood it, you would do it, especially if it would benefit you. But just knowing about something versus understanding it is different. So make sure you have a fine understanding of why you do things, why you're going to do things. And I think it ties into perfectly to to how, um you can think about the when you're figuring out a process, make sure you're not just doing it because someone told you to do it. You're doing it because you have an understanding of why you're doing it. And so that's what I instill in my mastermind group. But I always say, my goal is to teach you not what to think, but how to think, right? And I was just talking with my realtor partner about this, where, you never want to say, I bought this home because my realtor told me it was a good home. I bought my this home because, or I invested in this property because my coach told me it was a good investment. That tells me you don't have a fine understanding of why you're doing what you're doing, which then will continue to slow you down from making decisions, along the way. Your understanding and the way that I teach is you should be able to move forward in investment after calculated risks. It's like these are all the known facts, these are the unknowns, and because I have more knowns than unknowns, therefore I'm looking to move forward, considering that there is still a risk in place. And anything worth having comes with a calculated risk. It should be calculated on your end. He or she who fails to calculate that risk, it's shame on them, because the risk is there. The fact that you didn't calculate the risk is another thing, right? Though that's a perfect example, right? A segue for a current situation, where uh, we had a family with pets, and then they, gave one of the pets a puppies, and it was just a mess. And so the calculated risk would have been to have a measure in place that can account for pet damage. And right now we're in a situation where we're going through the process, but there's definitely a few lessons learned on having additional damage waivers like Wavo, etc. To, there's like Superhog, but like Superhog might not let you cover for pet damage, etc. So you do your due diligence and put all these measures in place, because it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. When you've been in this space long enough, it's a matter of when someone falls. It's a matter of when someone damages your property. It's a matter of when a pet decides to go AWOL and have all this damage. What are you going to do? What is the plan? And that, if you have a plan, then it will cut down the decision making process.
Experiment Nation, you've heard the word MTR, mid-term rentals, as it is currently a hot topic and hot commodity right now, because again, there has been an increase in short-term rental regulations, and there also has been
let's face it, a slowdown in what we were experiencing a couple years back when it comes to bookings. So, with that said, short term rental operators are looking for alternative solutions to tap into the mid-term rental space. However, there is a space, there is a sub niche of mid-term rental insurance that I'm truly excited about, that I want to share with you, that the experience that we've had, the tremendous results we've been able to have, and that's the insurance mid-term rental space, which is very different than your traditional mid-term rentals. When you think of traditionally mid-term rentals, you think of travel nurses. There is a space, mid-term rental insurance space, that we've tapped in, where you need to be well connected with insurance and relocation specialists and companies, and understand the right type of asset required for you to be able to help these families. What's really important, that stands out the most, which you can get in what I'm about to offer you, is the understanding where to be found by these insurance companies, how to properly manage your calendar so that your listings are optimized so that they can find you, how to actually gain traction and build a relationship with these relocation insurance companies. I've put together an MTR insurance blueprint. That's double MT triple R insurance blueprint to cover these foundations after we've had success landing very large contracts on single family homes that literally 4x what we traditionally make in long-term rentals, and also gives us peace of mind because there's less turnover and 100% occupancy, because these contracts can start anywhere from 30 days to 3 months to 8 months and range anywhere from, again, we've landed anywhere from $8,000 to $9,000 a month in per month on a single family home property, which our mortgages are typically around the 2,400 range, which then gives you a large spread of anywhere from 4 to 6K net on just one property. And this is why it's very hot right now. But people who haven't been in the lab with individuals like myself, like Jesse Vasquez and Dr. Rachel Gainsborough and Noble Crawford, don't have the foundations and don't know exactly where to start. And therefore, this is why I'm giving you guys a blueprint, the MTRR insurance blueprint. Go to the website experimentrealestate.com and get yourself a blueprint to completely change, or at least have a plan B if you're a short-term rental operator looking to maximize your occupancy and profitability. We'll see you on the other side. So I didn't even mean to make this a very heavily decision-driven kind of segment, but I do think it's the root. The root of everything is making key sound decisions very quickly, and not drastically, but strategically. You'll find that people who are very confident, and confident comes from having a great understanding and can forecast what to expect, because you have also mastery, because you've done it before, so therefore you have a better understanding. The word confide, in confidence, the root word confide means to trust, and most people don't trust themselves, and that's why they're unable to make decisions quickly and have the confidence to make those decisions soundly. And therefore, it's really important that you find the confidence within yourself to make those decisions quickly. And if you can't find it within yourself, this is where you borrow it from a mentor, borrow it from a coach, borrow it because they have it, because they've seen things that you haven't seen, or they've been around the corner that you haven't been. Therefore, borrow it from them, borrow their mental syntax, borrow their physiology, and borrow their belief system, right? And my belief system is, when it's fourth quarter, you put your head down, you keep grinding, and you don't have to work. I think you got to do the work. That's for sure. There is a level of sacrifice that happens, but it doesn't have to be the craziest hard work, when you can use your mind and start thinking who, not how. This is a good segue too. If you're looking for property, do not, if there's a reason, if you're having some reservations about investing out of state, it's because there's something that you don't understand about investing out of state, which therefore is preventing you from pulling the trigger, which then therefore is probably slowing you down from being able to actually pull the trigger on a deal that could be great, that's not in your backyard. And that's because you just lack the understanding that systems and need to be put in place so that you can operate a mid-term rental out of state, excuse me. And then you have to have an understanding of how to optimize the listing so it increases your chances drastically, right? Like we just had our family move out 8 months to like literally the week after we got another family going in at a premium. It's just a level of understanding. And when you understand, you trust, and there's a level of confidence to then continue to land these contracts, right? That's one of the main questions. Ruben, how often are these contracts? How often, how prevalent are there? That question in itself lets me know there's lack of confidence in the process because there's a lack of understanding the demand. Now, you might be thinking, well, yeah, but I'm asking for the analytics. I want to know the volume. I want to know if I should go there. Well, that again shows me there's a lack of understanding of how prevalent these displaced families are in this space. And therefore, because of lack of understanding, there's a lack of decision making to pull the trigger to invest in the right type of home. Again, not all homes are created equal. Not all investments are created equal. So finding the right home with the right buy box will give me the confidence that when I do buy that home with the right buy box and furnish it the right way and optimize it the right way, then I will then receive contracts back to back on an ongoing basis because I have the knowledge and understanding. More importantly, I have the understanding. It's one thing to have the knowledge. Yeah, I've heard of this. I heard that it works, but it's another thing to have the understanding. So your goal is to understand the areas that will require you to um, take a leap into the direction that you're going into. And if you do not have understanding, find the people who have already been there, who have a very fine understanding and confidence in the process. And especially now is a really good time to do that when people are taking a foot off the gas, because I love being in a situation where I have the advantage. And the only way you're going to have the advantage, or in one of the ways you're going to have the advantage, is by reducing the amount of competition that is currently not tuned into the marketplace, not tuned into sourcing deals, not tuned in to evaluating deals, not tuned in to marketing to these relocation agencies. Those are going to be the things where you stand apart because you are, again, borrowing the mental syntax from someone who's been there, whether it's myself or whether it's someone else that you're listening to, or whether it's in their mastermind group and you're part of a community. That is why community is so important. And I would highly recommend you to make that one of your New Year's goals, resolutions, if you have some. I have new weekly resolutions all the time. I don't wait for the year, but it's important that you add that to what community do I need to be a part of people doing things that I need to be doing. And sometimes it's just one nugget that you're going to take that is going to change the trajectory of all your experiments, because you only got to get it right once. And you can, and you don't have to wait till January to do that. You can actually do this today. I put a quote on social media today on my Instagram, right? Borrowed it from Dwayne Johnson, The Rock. It says, one day or day one. One day you can do it. One day, right? Maybe next year, maybe the year after. One day I'll do this. One day I'll buy a property out of state. One day I'll get an insurance contract. One day. Or day one. So what does day one look like? What is the one thing that you can do that will give you the momentum that you need? I love this thing called momentum-based tasking, which means you have a list, and instead of tackling the big rocks, you give yourself as much momentum throughout the day to tackle the small things, even if it's firing an email, reaching out to a lender, asking to get pre-approved. It's momentum-based tasking, because we feed off momentum. We're creatures of momentum, just like we're creatures of habit. So if you put in systems that will require you to then have to respond to an email, even if you don't know how, like I'm getting quotes for things where I don't even got the money for it yet. But like the fact that I'm getting quotes, and the fact that it's just opening up opportunities, and it's opening up insights, and it's opening me up to asking the right types of questions. So my biggest thing for you, Q4 2024, this is where you go even harder. When people are starting to set their eyes off their goals, foot off the gas, that means there's opportunities for those of us who understand where we're going, who have made the decision, who are confident, who have borrowed the right belief system from the right people, who are in the places that we want to be, and doing the thing that they would do, so that you can have the result of the person that's ready to receive it. That's very important, right? It's one thing to want the thing, but have you become the person that's open to receiving it, and willing to receive it, and ready to receive the thing? Be, do, have. 2 episodes ago I recorded it. Is so critical. Become the person that's ready to do the thing, momentum based tasking, or doing it today, right? One day or day one, do it today with the belief of system that you have from the person, the people you're trying to be, or the person you admire. It could be someone that's in a place where you want to be. And then you will be ready to receive the thing and have it. And then you'll get insights and ideas of things, of questions you didn't even think of asking. Then you'll have the confidence to move forward and make a decision that will then propel you to the areas and goals and insights or places that you're trying to get towards. And you will have an upper hand in 2025. So with that said, Experiment Nation, in the lab, always cooking up. My goal is to plant a seed in your mind, and your job is to water that seed and turn it into a plant and lift somebody else up so that you can turn it into a forest. Because when there's a forest, it gives oxygen to everybody for a better community. With that said, Experiment Nation, on that note, your boy, Ruben here, putting down his foot on the gas. We're going strong here, Q4 2024, and I trust that you will do the same. Let's build, Joe.
Experiment Nation, I believe there are two critical components that will help you achieve your goals very quickly and succeed. Number one, it's information like this that you received on a show, in an episode, and content that you can find on my YouTube channel or anybody's channel. And then there's a community. And the way we've been able to expedite our process, the way people in our community, people that we consult, mastermind members, whoever, they get the information on an episode like this, but then they also have a support, whether it's me guiding them or being guided through a community. There is an opportunity for you listening to be able to expedite your process or even expedite your results that you're seeking by being in part of the community. If that is what you're interested in, we at Experiment Nation happen to have a community devoted to helping maximize your occupancy and your profitability altogether, regardless of which market that you are in. And for that reason, you have an opportunity where you can go to experimentrealestate.com/submit if you're looking to work in an environment that can help you prosper faster. Call out any areas that you might not be familiar in, especially the blind spots. That's where a guide comes in hand, and I would be a pleasure and honor to be your guide. But in order to make sure you're a good fit, make sure you go to experimentrealestate.com/submit so that my team can go ahead and take it and see if you're a good fit to join the mastermind and the multiple programs that we have. In addition to that, I'm also now a YouTube partner, which means that I want to give you more access to information, more access to Q&As, more access to the questions that actually come out of our mastermind that help people expedite the process. We've seen people get anywhere from $4,000 to $5,000 to $6,000 to even $7,000 a month net on just one door by applying the strategies that we use by working with corporations and furnished accommodation in a very strategic way. So if you're interested, make sure you also subscribe, because I'm going to have different tiers that's on YouTube now that we've become YouTube partner, to continue to be the bridge to your success in your lab. And your lab means your life, your goals, or wherever you're trying to head. So make sure you also hit the subscribe button on my YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/real estate experiment. We'll be there. You can also look us up at Midterm Rental Insurance Experiment. We will be there. Make sure you hit the subscribe, because that's when you'll know the tiers that are available to you that make sense for you, your marketplace, for your results. Remember, you're only one experiment away. Let's build.